Imagine this. You're 3 days away from marrying the man of your dreams in the heart of New York City. The city that never sleeps. Where skyscrapers pierce the sky like diamonds in the night. The invitations are sent. The flowers are blooming in Central Park-inspired arrangements. And your dress, a sleek, modern masterpiece, hangs ready in your Manhattan loft. But then, out of nowhere, his powerful parents corner you with a prenup that strips you bare, demanding you sign or watch your future crumble. That's exactly where I found myself. Emma Carter, 32 years old, staring down the barrel of betrayal. Little did they know, behind my unassuming smile was a $12 million empire I'd built from scratch, and I was about to turn their world upside down. Buckle up, because this isn't just a love story, it's a tale of hidden power, shattered egos, and the sweet taste of justice served cold in the Big Apple. Let me take you back to where it all began. To the streets of Brooklyn, where I grew up in a modest brownstone with parents who worked as public school teachers. Dad taught history, Mom English literature, and they drilled into me the power of knowledge over flash. We weren't poor, but we weren't swimming in cash either. Every family vacation was a road trip to the Jersey Shore. Every birthday cake homemade. I earned my way through NYU on scholarships, pulling all-nighters in the library while my roommates partied. Graduating top of my class in computer science, I dove headfirst into the tech world, hungry to carve my own path. The game changer came when my aunt, a quiet investor who'd lived frugally in Queens, passed away during my senior year. She'd amassed a fortune through savvy stock picks and real estate flips, leaving me $8 million. I was stunned. Her modest apartment hid a portfolio that could rival Wall Street pros. I invested most of it wisely, dipping into a chunk to launch my startup, Mindful Moments, an app revolutionizing mental health with eye-driven therapy sessions and community support. By 30, the app had exploded, valued at $4 million after a killer funding round from Silicon Valley VCs. Total net worth? Around $12 million. But you'd never guess it from my life. A cozy Upper East Side apartment, nothing flashy. A reliable Subaru, and outfits from high street brands. I wanted success on my terms. Not defined by dollars. Only my parents, best friend Lily, and my financial advisor knew the truth. In a city obsessed with status, I flew under the radar, building genuine connections without the baggage of wealth. That's how I met Alex Harrington at a charity gala for mental health awareness in the Met's Grand Hall. My app had donated premium subscriptions, and I was there networking. Alex stood out, tall, with piercing blue eyes and a smile that lit up the room, not because of his family's infamous Harrington Law Group, which dominated corporate litigation on the East Coast, but because he actually cared. We bonded over the stigma of therapy, our love for rooftop runs in the city, and a shared obsession with New York's best street tacos. He asked for my number, and I gave it, knowing full well the Harringtons were old money, tracing back to railroad tycoons in the Gilded Age. Their firm represented Fortune 500 giants, and their Hamptons estate was legendary. Our first date? A picnic in Central Park, where Alex admitted he'd Googled my app and was blown away by its impact. "You're changing lives, Emma," he said. And I knew he meant it. We became inseparable. Weekend escapes to the Catskills. Failed attempts at cooking gourmet meals in my kitchen. Deep talks about justice in an unequal world that lasted until dawn. Alex never flaunted his privilege. He worked pro bono cases for underserved communities. I loved that about him, his sense of fairness despite growing up in luxury. And I kept my wealth hidden. Not out of deceit, but because I wanted to be loved for Emma, the passionate entrepreneur, not Emma, the millionaire. 6 months in, he brought me home to the Harrington Mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut, a sprawling estate with ocean views and staff that could run a small hotel. Richard and Victoria Harrington were polite but probing. Victoria, in her Chanel suit, asked about NYU's scholarship program with a raised eyebrow, implying it was commendable for someone like me. Richard dominated the conversation with tales of high-profile clients, effectively sidelining me. Alex brushed it off as family quirks. But I felt the subtle digs. I was the charming outsider from a humble background. Still, love blinded me. When Alex proposed on our 2-year anniversary during a helicopter ride over the city skyline, I said yes instantly. The ring? His grandmother's sapphire, elegant and timeless. Wedding planning started as a dream, venue at the plaza. Flowers from the best florists, but Victoria's input turned it tense. She assumed the Harringtons would foot everything because, clearly, I couldn't afford their level. I let it slide, pride keeping my secret intact. Alex mediated, but I compromised often, insisting only on my dress, a fitted gown that made me feel empowered. 3 days before the big day, Victoria called for tea at the estate. Alex was in meetings, she said, perfect for some girl time. Exhausted from final touches, I agreed, hoping for a thaw. Pulling up in my Subaru, I spotted Richard's Bentley. Inside, no tea, just them in power suits. A thick document on the table. We need to settle some business, Richard said bluntly. A prenup to protect family assets. Victoria nodded. Standard for Harrington marriages. I scanned it. One-sided nightmare. Divorce? I'd get nothing. Clauses could even claim stakes in my app's IP. This is unbalanced, I said. Richard dismissed. It safeguards generations of wealth. Victoria smirked. Your little mental health app is sweet. But we're talking real scale. The ultimatum hit. Sign by 9 a.m. tomorrow. Or the wedding's off. Ethan understands family duty. Victoria purred, heart pounding. I grabbed the papers. I'll discuss with Alex. As I left, I overheard Victoria. She'll sign. Where else would she find someone like Alex in her circles? Richard chuckled. Tears blurred the drive back to Manhattan. Alex called repeatedly. I ignored, pulling over twice to sob. In my apartment, I called Lily. They ambushed me. She raged. 3 days out? Manipulative. The worst. Alex might have known. Talk to him, she urged. And get your lawyer on it. I finally called Alex. What happened? He asked. Concerned, I unloaded. The prenup. Ultimatum. His possible knowledge. Silence. I didn't know they'd spring it like that. He admitted. I planned to discuss it myself. Hurt deepened. You knew and delayed? He sighed. It's family tradition. I didn't want to stress you. By letting them coerce me? I snapped. He protested. You're overreacting, it's standard. But reading the IP clause troubled him. The wedding isn't contingent, he assured. We'll fix it. Then tell them now, I demanded. He hedged. A prenup makes sense given circumstances. What circumstances? Your wealth versus my nothing. We hung unresolved. Anger turned to resolve. If they wanted a money fight, they'd get one. I texted my lawyer. Marcus. Urgent meeting. 7 a.m. prenup crisis. As I drifted to sleep, one thing was clear. The real Emma Carter was done hiding. Dawn broke over the city as I paced my office in Midtown. The prenup annotated in red. Dressed in a sharp black suit. Pearl earrings from Auntie's collection grounding me. I was ready. Marcus arrived. Sharp as ever at 68. Briefcase in hand. Unorthodox timing. He noted. Scanning the doc. This is predatory. We'll counter with balance. Over coffee. I laid it out. My $12 million. $8 million inheritance grown to $8.5 million. App at $3.5 million. Harrington's clueless. Marcus grinned. This'll be fun. We drafted a fair prenup. Equal protections. IP safeguards. Equitable division. Strategy. Meet Alex first. Then parents at a neutral spot like the Pierre's private room. Lily called post-meeting. Revealing everything? No choice for equality. What if Alex resents the secret? Then he's not the one. I texted Alex. Lunch at our spot. 1 p.m. alone. He replied. Be there. Love you. At Giovanni's. Our Italian haunt. Alex looked wrecked. Rumpled suit. Shadows under eyes. I'm sorry, he said, hugging me. I confronted them last night. Ultimatums off. Or I cancel. Pride swelled. They called me naive. Did it work? No. I chose us. Over sparkling water. I revealed. I'm not who they think. Sliding financials across. His jaw dropped. $12 million? Emma. Why hide? Wanted real love, not money's shadow. Your family proved why. Status obsession. Hurt flickered, but understanding dawned. Fair point. But transparency cuts both ways. I showed our prenup. Equals. He read. Nodding. Balanced. Perfect. Hand in hand. Meet them tonight. United. As we left, hope bloomed. Truth was our weapon now. 6 p.m. The Pierre's opulent room overlooked Fifth Avenue. Alex and I waited. Suited up. They arrived late. Power play. Victoria in Dior. Richard in Brioni. Charming venue. Victoria said, ignoring me. For a signature? We reviewed your prenup. Alex stated. Unacceptable. Shock. Alternative here. I said. Sliding ours with financials. Protects both. Victoria scoffed. Your app? Surprised? Alex interjected. Richard scanned. $12 million? Legit. Victoria flushed. Hidden? Deceptive. The issue's your coercion. Alex fired. Assumptions disrespected Emma. Tension peaked. But Richard conceded review by 3 p.m. tomorrow. Victoria, quieter. Misjudged. As they left, Alex whispered. You were brilliant. Together, we stepped into the night. Unbreakable. 2 days later, at the plaza, I walked the aisle in my gown. Sapphire earrings from Victoria. A peace offering with family history. Apology accepted. She'd said earlier. Vulnerable. Ceremony magical. Reception shifted. Respect replaced condescension. Richard toasted my success. Victoria introduced me as formidable. Honeymoon in Hawaii. Blissful reset. Back. We set boundaries. Monthly dinners. Not weekly. Bought a Brooklyn townhouse together. My app partnered with Harrington Pro Bono Initiatives. Prenup? Safely stored. Its true value in forging equality. Reflecting. That crisis built us stronger. I learned hiding dims your light, Alex. To defy family for love. Marriage? Intersection of worlds. Navigated with honesty. Ever faced underestimation? Share below. If this empowered you. Like. Subscribe. More triumphs ahead. Remember. Your true worth? Unstoppable force. Picture this. 3 days until the wedding of your dreams in the heart of Chicago. Where the skyline sparkles like a promise of forever. The venue is set. The roses are in bloom. And your dress, a vision of modern elegance, waits to make you feel like royalty. But then, in a single afternoon, everything you thought you knew about love, trust, and family is turned upside down. That's where I found myself. Ava Bennett, 30 years old. Standing on the edge of a life-changing moment. I was about to marry Lucas Prescott. The man who made my heart race, but his wealthy parents had other plans. They ambushed me with a prenup that was more like a guillotine. Demanding I sign or lose it all. What they didn't know, behind my quiet confidence was a $10 million fortune I'd built from the ground up. And I wasn't about to let their smug assumptions steal my future. This is the story of how I flipped the script, shook the foundations of their world, and fought for a love built on truth. Stay with me. This tale of grit, secrets, and triumph will keep you hooked until the very last word. I grew up in a cozy Chicago suburb, raised by parents who taught math and literature at the local high school. Our life was comfortable but never lavish. Think family dinners around a worn oak table. Summer trips to Lake Michigan, and hand-me-down bikes. My parents instilled in me a fierce belief in hard work and education. And I carried that with me to the University of Chicago, where I earned a full-ride scholarship for computer science. Sleepless nights and endless coding sessions paid off. I graduated with honors. Driven to make my mark in the tech world. The turning point came when my uncle, a frugal retiree who'd spent decades quietly investing in startups and real estate, passed away during my final semester. To my shock, he left me $6 million, a fortune hidden behind his modest condo and thrift store sweaters. I invested most of it in diversified portfolios. But I used a sliver to launch my startup, Bright Mind Solutions, a platform using AI to personalize learning for students with disabilities. By 28, Bright Mind had caught fire, securing a $4 million valuation after a Series A round led by top Chicago VCs. My net worth? A cool $10 million. But you'd never know it looking at me. I lived in a sleek but understated River North loft, drove a hybrid Toyota, and shopped at boutiques that favored style over flash. My wealth was my secret, shared only with my parents, my best friend Mia, and my attorney, Evelyn Stone. I wanted to be valued for my brain, my drive, my heart, not my bank account. I met Lucas at a fundraising gala for inclusive education, held in the glittering halls of the Art Institute of Chicago. Bright Mind had donated licenses for our platform, and I was there to pitch its impact. Lucas, with his warm hazel eyes and easy laugh, stood out among the trust fund crowd. He wasn't just there for optics, he was genuinely passionate about accessibility. Volunteering his legal skills for nonprofits. We clicked instantly, swapping stories about late-night coding, me, and courtroom battles, him. Laughing over our shared love for Chicago's deep dish pizza and lakeside runs. When he asked for my number, I didn't hesitate, even knowing he was a Prescott, part of a dynasty whose law firm, Prescott and Partners, held sway over half the city's corporate elite, with roots in 19th-century steel fortunes. Our first date was a sunset stroll along the lakefront trail, Lucas carrying a basket of homemade paninis. I looked up Bright Mind. He admitted, eyes bright, "You're doing something real, Ava." That's rare. I fell hard for his sincerity. His refusal to coast on privilege. We spent weekends hiking in Starved Rock, burning through novels in cozy bookstores, and debating policy over coffee until the shops closed. Lucas loved my independence, my fire. I loved his commitment to justice. Despite growing up in a world of private jets and summer homes, my wealth stayed my secret. It felt irrelevant when we were building something so real. But cracks appeared when I met his parents 6 months in. The Prescott estate in Winnetka was a fortress of wealth, marble floors, crystal chandeliers, grounds that could host a polo match. Richard Prescott, all steely authority in a tailored suit, grilled me on my little startup with a patronizing smile. Victoria, dripping in designer silk, probed about my scholarship days, her tone implying I'd clawed my way up from nothing. Teaching must be so rewarding, she said of my parents. Though I imagine the hours are grueling for the pay. Lucas deflected their barbs with practiced charm. But I felt their judgment. I was the nobody daring to infiltrate their world. Still, I was in love. When Lucas proposed on our 2-year anniversary atop the John Hancock Center, the city lights stretching below us, I said yes without a second thought. His grandmother's emerald ring sparkled on my finger, a symbol of our shared future. Wedding planning was magical at first, until Victoria took over. She insisted on a Prescott-worthy venue, a towering cake from a Michelin-starred bakery, and a guest list bloated with their elite friends. I let it go, my pride keeping my secret wealth under wraps. I fought only for my dress, a minimalist silk gown that made me feel invincible. Lucas backed me, but I often compromised to keep peace, believing our love would outshine his family's control. 3 days before the wedding, with every detail locked in, Victoria called. Ava, darling, let's have tea at the estate. Lucas is tied up in court, perfect for us to bond before the big day. Exhausted from final fittings and vendor calls, I agreed, hoping for a rare moment of warmth. Driving up to the Prescott mansion, I noticed Richard's Rolls-Royce in the driveway, an odd sign. The housekeeper led me not to the sunlit tea room but to a formal study. All dark wood and heavy silence. Richard and Victoria sat like corporate titans, dressed for battle. Victoria in a crisp cream suit, Richard in a navy pinstripe with cufflinks flashing the Prescott crest. No tea today, Ava, Victoria said, her smile tight. We need to discuss a business matter. Richard slid a thick blue-bound document across the desk. This is a prenuptial agreement, standard for Prescott marriages. It protects our family's legacy in case things don't work out. My stomach dropped. Lucas and I had never discussed a prenup. I flipped through the pages, my tech-trained eye catching the traps. If we divorced, I'd walk away with nothing, no matter how long we were married or what I contributed. Worse, clauses hinted at claims on my company's intellectual property, Bright Mind. My life's work. This is one-sided, I said. Voice steady despite my racing heart. Richard waved it off. It's designed to safeguard generations of Prescott wealth. Victoria's laugh grated. Your educational app is lovely, dear, but it's hardly on our level. Then came the ultimatum. Sign by 9 a.m. tomorrow. Or the wedding's off. Richard stated. We've invested heavily in this event. But we'll cancel to protect our interests. Victoria leaned in. Lucas understands family obligations. If you love him, you'll sign. The implication that Lucas knew hit like a punch. I'll need to talk to him, I said, clutching the document. Victoria smirked. He's aware. Dear, he just didn't want to upset you. I stood, papers in hand, and walked out. Their voices drifted through an open window. She'll sign, Victoria said. What choice does a teacher's daughter have? Richard's chuckle was the final blow. I drove home, tears blurring the Chicago skyline, ignoring Lucas's calls as I processed the betrayal. In my loft, I poured my heart out to Mia over the phone. 3 days out? That's vile, she raged. And Lucas knew? Maybe, I said, voice breaking. Either he hid it, or they blindsided him too. Both are bad, Mia urged. Call Evelyn. Don't let them bully you. I texted Evelyn Stone, my uncle's attorney and a legal shark at 70, urgent. Prenup issue. Meet 7 a.m. Then I called Lucas. He answered instantly. Ava, what happened? Mom said you left upset. I didn't hold back. Your parents ambushed me with a prenup that screws me over and threatened to cancel our wedding if I don't sign by tomorrow. Did you know? Silence. I didn't know they did it like that. He admitted. I was going to bring it up. But wedding stress. So you left me to be cornered? I snapped. That's not protection, Lucas. That's cowardice. He protested. It's just a standard document. But when I pointed out the IP clause, doubt crept in. That's not right, he said, shaken. They gave me until 9 a.m. I pressed. Where do you stand? The wedding's not contingent, he insisted. We'll fix this. Then tell them now. No ultimatum. He hesitated. A prenup makes sense for our family's assets. Your assets versus my nothing. I shot back. Decide, Lucas. Them or us. I hung up, tears falling, but anger sparked resolve. If the Prescotts wanted to play power games, they'd meet the real Ava Bennett. I opened my laptop, pulling up my portfolio. $6.5 million in investments. $3.5 million from Bright Mind. I wasn't their charity case, I was their equal. As I drifted to sleep, one thought burned bright. Tomorrow, I'd fight, not just for love, but for respect. At 6:45 a.m., I stood in my office overlooking Lake Michigan. The prenup marked with my notes. Dressed in a tailored navy blazer. My uncle's pearl cufflinks anchoring me. I was ready. Evelyn arrived. Silver hair impeccable. Briefcase stuffed with decades of legal wins. This is a hatchet job, she said, scanning the document. One of the worst I've seen in 40 years. We'll gut it and draft a fair one. Over 2 hours, we built a new prenup. Equal protections for my $10 million and Lucas's assets. Ironclad IP clauses for Bright Mind. Fair division based on marriage length and contributions. Presentation's key, Evelyn said. Neutral ground. The Drake's private dining room, classy. Discreet. I nodded, pulling my financials. Bank statements. Investment records. Bright Mind's valuation. They'll know who they're dealing with. I called Mia to update. You're revealing it all? She asked. No choice, I said. I want a marriage of equals. What if Lucas is mad you hid it? Then we'll face it. If he can't handle my truth, he's not my partner. I texted Lucas. Meet me at Luigi's. 1 p.m. just us. His reply. I'm there. I love you. At Luigi's, our favorite Italian spot. Lucas looked drained. Tie askew. Eyes shadowed. I'm sorry, he said, hugging me. I told them last night their ultimatum's unacceptable. I'd cancel the wedding myself first. My heart lifted. They called me emotional, he said. Did it work? No. I walked out. Shows us. Over sparkling water. I laid it bare. I'm not who they think. I slid my financials across. His eyes widened. $10 million? Ava, Why? I wanted love for me. Not money. Your family's obsession with status proved I was right. Hurt flashed. But he nodded. I get it. But we both held back. I showed our prenup. This is fair, he said, reading. Let's face them together. 6 p.m. at the Drake's private room. Lake Michigan shimmering outside. Lucas and I sat united. My portfolio ready. The Prescotts arrived late. Victoria in emerald silk. Richard in a charcoal suit. A bit formal for a signature. Victoria quipped, barely glancing at me. Richard nodded curtly. You've made your decision. Ava? Your prenup's unacceptable. Lucas said. We have a better one. I slid it over with my financials. This protects us both. And here's my net worth. $10 million. Victoria's smile froze. Richard's jaw tightened. Impossible, she said. You live like someone who values substance over show. I cut in. Richard scanned. Legitimate. Impressive. Your coercion was the issue. Lucas said. You disrespected Ava with assumptions. Victoria bristled. We protected our legacy. I countered. My legacy's worth protecting too. Richard relented. We'll review by 3 p.m. tomorrow. Victoria, softer. I misjudged you. Ava, progress. 2 days later, at the plaza, I walked down the aisle. Emerald earrings from Victoria. A gift tied to a Prescott matriarch who'd defied odds. She'd apologized. I failed to see you. Ava. The ceremony was electric. Our vows raw with truth. At the reception, Richard toasted my success. Victoria introduced me to her peers with pride. Our Maldives honeymoon was pure joy, sunlit beaches. Late night talks about our future as equals. Back home, we set boundaries. Monthly Prescott dinners. Not weekly. We bought a Lincoln Park condo with our combined funds. Building a life on our terms. Brightmind landed a citywide school contract. Richard sought my tech expertise for his firm. That prenup crisis forged us. I learned hiding my truth invited misjudgment. Lucas learned to defy family control. Our marriage? A partnership of strength and honesty. Ever faced someone who underestimated you? Drop your story below. If this saga of standing tall inspires you, like, subscribe, and share. Your true self? That's your greatest power.